report number yang lo sini Karpo maju sekewa cuma soloi noda nangilen pada juga nanangzin diri kasurkani lomba kang susun eskurkani jika lanjut semula tene ngajar du Padma Karpo tene professional development committee chok ne tene diri training na proses la ngajar ni tapan gasui tene galu ngajar sama tujuh jote no tene diri ngata training boleh tena learning outcome and pedagogical success in ogal tene tu training go salala tene nge tene ngajara tene lopchi ma'am ningiro molia jiwa puli tene di resource person zatena tene topic pika tene ngada training success ya samala yang lanjut ngajar sampai chongai welcome you jure.
Good afternoon, teachers from various schools, and good afternoon to all the members of PDC Druk Karpo School. So before going further, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Druk, the principal of Druk Karpo School. So I'll be the resource person of today's training, and I hope I'll able to give to do justice with today's event, since you have came all the way from various schools. So I'll try my best. So today the main topic is learning outcome and pedagogy, which I feel is very important for all the teachers, for all the educators, because every day we come to school with preparation, with planning, with some goals, with some objective, with some outcomes. But for that particular things to be achieved, it is very important to have a particular plan for a particular day or for a particular subject. So though it's a session of 6 hours, but then I'm just trying to squeeze it for 3 hours. So I'll just try to cover the major area, which is quite beneficial for all the teachers, and I'm hoping that whatever you have learned from today's this training session, you will just try to at least try to implement that in your regular classroom scenario. So first is check-in, which we already did, and second is welcome and introduction. So I'll not take much time to introduce, since we have a time constraint. So I hope I've kept already the teachers from various schools as per the subject based in one category. So that has been done. Otherwise, for that we need at least 15 minutes. So that was done. And then there are a few rules to be followed during this training. I'll explain you what are the rules. And there's at the back side there's a small chart over there which is called a wisdom wall. So wisdom wall means whatever suggestion, whatever inputs, whatever queries you have in between, you can just put it over there, and then I'll try to answer. And then if anyone from you are willing to answer, then you all are most welcome to answer that particular questions or queries. And then sharing agenda, which is again one this thing. So there are a few rules to be followed during this 3 hours of session. First is you have to follow all the direction quickly, promptly. Secondly, whenever you have any queries, just raise your hand for the permission to speak as well as to leave the seat. Because otherwise we don't have much time, so it's better to raise hand and then we'll just address that particular queries. Third is respect each other opinion. So here we are only going to have a positive talk. We are not going for any kind of criticism, any judgmental thing. So we have to respect each other's opinion. But there's no any right or wrong opinion. Opinion is opinion. So I encourage everyone to respect each other's opinion. That's the rule number 3 of today's session. Knowing each other will not take much time, but then within your group you can just know each other, which since we are all sitting in a similar this thing subject specific teachers are all sitting together so that they can relate each other very nicely, gently. So general introduction part, I'm just skipping it out. Within your table, you can just have an introduction. Sitting arrangement I already did, which is as per the subject. Now, now there are a few discussion points to be discussed before the main this thing. So firstly, as a teacher, I know that many of you are going through various challenges in your day-to-day life, right? So I just want all of you to kindly address and kindly write maybe 3 challenges that you face with regard to student learning. So in your regular classroom scenario, what are the challenges, what are the most difficult challenges that you faced with regard to student learning? So that is the one question that you have to jot it down as a team. You can just, and then the second criteria is that there might be 4 or 5 challenges that you will jot down, but then on top of that, you can just address, you can just share 1 or 2 questions with your entire group. So I request all of you to kindly spare a few minutes on focusing on challenges that you have faced in classroom scenario with regard to the student learning. Firstly, you can just write the main challenges that you face with regard to student learning. That's the only, that's the first step. And after this, I have to switch over the pages to the different, you can use this white page, so sorry. You can use this white page for the questions, 1 or 2 questions as a team. Naka regular classroom scenario na tene thugu na hotel techi skalas bardo thwara khalale te nika teachers tene tyo problem teaching me to nis me to khachi it can be like number of challenges, but then yeji ka ngala prior progression stuff te hisabe ka you can just jot it down and then I just switch it over. In English na khatwa azu pondi azal moshizano kile which team English team ya department bu nishi mention chwa jase. Okay, 1 minute to go. Okay. 20 seconds to go. Exchange just Daniele. Just switch it over. Now the second step is that Nisha Sangmai is a exchange song sheet. The second step in Nisha discuss. You have to discuss the challenges that you have received from the other team, and then how you're going to resolve those challenges with the change in teaching pedagogy. The Nisha teaching pedagogy na change Tuesday. All the problems solved just to So that's the second step. You have to discuss those challenges which you have received right now from the other team, and then how you are going to resolve those challenges is by some modification in teaching pedagogy. Ngata teaching pedagogy na change kyungste, then e challenges gun solve chunyanches duga. That's the second steps. You can just address to one question, that's it. Nisha question kachik receives then only you can just take one question and then try to address that particular question. Then pedagogy mainly the as an educator, as a teacher, we all know that what does pedagogy mean. But then pedagogy actually means the method or the techniques or the practice of teaching. So with the teaching methods, with the teaching techniques, will we be able to cater to those problems? And if yes, then how? You have to answer why as well. How as well. Only 10 seconds left, and after that, within your group, you have to discuss. You have to choose one person, one educator who can speak on behalf of your team, and then share with your entire team, entire whole group. If any team has done, then we can share with the last group. First of all, good evening, everyone. Sorry, good afternoon, everyone, and all the educators here. So the question is here: challenge regarding students' learning, lack of concentration, lack of student participation due to lack of confidence. To overcome this problem, if we make a teaching inquiry based, if we inquiry based learning, group discussion, teamwork, visual based learning, if we integrate the art, if we give them the real life examples, if we include these things in our pedagogy, so we can make our teaching more interactive, more inclusive, and more meaningful. We can introduce the puzzles, we can introduce the games, we can create on creativity in our teaching. We can change हम अपना जो teaching method है अगर थोड़ा सा change करें, थोड़ी creativity लाए, थोड़ा बच्चों को इस तरह की examples, real life examples दें, so they can in
They can use their critical thinking, their logical thinking. When they include all these things, they can learn better. They can understand the concept better regarding this. सिर्फ हम explain करें उसके in spite of this हम अपने टॉपिक को थोड़ा और क्रिएटिविटी से अगर हम डिजाइन करें जहाँ से बच्चे और ज़्यादा इंक्लूड हो, इंक्लूसिव हो, बच्चे इन्वॉल्व हो, बच्चों की इन्वॉल्वमेंट स्टूडेंट सेंटर्ड अगर हम बनाएं, सो मुझे लगता है कि ये चैलेंज ओवरकम हो सकता है.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your answer. Ma'am have used mainly 21st century competencies in that particular uh, problems to be solved. So we really encourage such kind of innovation by keeping 21st century competencies in their mind. Maybe the next team, if anyone is ready to share, then we can share. Because this session is going to be quite interactive. If you educator will not respond, then I don't think it's going to be quite this thing. So better you just share your opinion, and we are here not to judge. So we just are here to learn from each other. Even I'm on the learning stage, so we'll just learn from each other. That's the main objective. Next team, please.
Julie everyone. So our challenges were imagination and analyze issue when we start a new chapter. So in science basically we can do is utilization of the lab, and we can do sectioning and dissection of the structure whatever we have been starting. Suppose we have been starting with the flower structure and we have been introducing the flowers, anatomy and everything. So we can send the students to the lab and then do sectioning and then analyze the parts of the flowers so that they get to know more about the flowers. And we can do the field trip where we can get the students out of the school classroom area and we can introduce there, and we can give conceptual questions also, and giving real life example of the student also through which they can the topic get more interesting.
Thank you so much. So mainly experiential based learning, hands-on learning. So these are the types of techniques that has been used from a long time, and then that can be used and make our classroom more effective. So maybe next, may I request the next team to kindly share, and then we'll proceed to the next step.
Good afternoon, Lee. So, ma'am, our question is, our challenge is, most of the students, they don't understand where to use the perfect formula. They get confused with mathematics. So the subject is mathematics itself. So it is our perspective, since mathematics is not a theoretical subject at all. So as our perspective, since the subject is not theoretical at all, the teacher can use the fun methodology, ma'am. For example, before entering the class, after entering the class, you're not supposed to literally state the chapter name in the beginning. What you can tell is, you can simply use the things which is present in the class itself. Suppose if I take the example of addition and subtraction itself, I can literally tell the clear the concept of addition and subtraction with the help of these pens also, So after the fun methodology which we have used, and after letting them do the activities among themselves, okay, later the activity we can tell them, this is the concept that we are learning, which is called addition and subtraction. So this is our perspective, we can literally do that. So it also comes in the hands-on activity as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for your sharing. I hope we are done with the sharing of first session. So here, now we come to the main point, that is the pedagogy. So pedagogy plays a very important, a very vital role in understanding the concepts and making our classroom more lively, making our classroom more interesting, and making students to be focused in that particular class. So with the change in pedagogy, our class can be changed from dull to lively. So that's what we are going to study. We are going to go through with this session. So. So far, many of us have been going through the term called learning objectives. But now today, we are going to talk more about learning outcomes, not objective. So our objective is mainly that particular thing which where what we expect as a teacher, as an educator. Uh, and the learning outcome is what student expect from us at the end of the lesson. Student will be able to create maybe create something, or so learning outcome is always started with this particular statement: student will be able to learn, student will be able to able to create, student will be able to apply. So and then those things needs to be, so even in English we have this subject, verb and object. So the same formula is used here in learning outcomes. So learning objective initially is a teacher centric, and what we plan as a teacher for the class, that's it. Now since 2001, with the revised Bloom taxonomy, we are focused more on the learning outcomes. So that outcomes is totally student centric. Outcome is what student expect at the end of that particular chapter or the particular class. So that's what we are going to study. We are going to learn from this particular session. That's in crux that we are going to learn. And secondly, how we are going to plan, how we are going to plan in such a manner that we can reach to the learning outcomes. So for that, I'll share you one template which can be used either to make a question paper as well. So we have been, like CBSE have been talking a lot about competency-based questions, competency-based learning, teaching process. So what actually competency means? So it only talks about knowledge, skills, and attitude. That is a complete. That what actually meant about the competencies. So once you want to create a question with a competency level high, maybe above 50%, then I'll share you one template called a verb cycle, where you can use those verbs, action verbs over there, and you can, that is going to be very helpful for even creating a good question papers. So I'll suggest everyone to kindly go through, because I pasted the verb cycle over there. You can just have a look, click picture, and then you can use that particular verb cycle in your daily lesson plan as well, and to write and to make the question papers. So overall, we are going to study. We are going to learn learning objective, learning cycle, what is intended learning outcomes, and at the last, revised Bloom taxonomy, and finally, how we are going to create effective lesson plan for the class. So that's the general goal of today's event. So the Bloom taxonomy, initially it was quite famous up till 1990s, which was I can say which was started by Benjamin Bloom in 1990s, and that was quite popular till 1990s. But then in 2001, Benjamin Bloom's disciple or the student, there's one student, there are two students who have revised the Bloom taxonomy, and then who have came to the conclusion that learning outcome needs to be focused more rather than the objectives. So now in this with this particular scenario, these days we are focusing more on learning outcomes. This is a nice thought by Ignaccio. He is also a special educator, and this we have to implement in our daily life. If some children can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. So we have to modify ourselves as per the need of the students. That's what he was talking. So we have to keep this in our mind every time. because we are catering to students like 35 students in a class, maximum 36 students in a class, but then they all are from various backgrounds, they all are individual different. So sometimes we as a teacher, we have to change, we have to modify ourselves, we have to change, we have to make some change in our pedagogy, so that each and every student feel that they are included. Since we have been talking a lot about inclusive education, so keeping that in our mind, we can, and keeping this particular statement in our mind, we have to modify ourselves as per the need. So in session 1 is just a brief idea what is learning objective and why we are shifting from learning objective to learning outcomes, and a bit about the Bloom taxonomy, why we need to change. So that's all about in the session 1. Otherwise session 1 is 1.5 hours, so I just try to squeeze it. In session 2 we are trying to understand importance of learning outcomes and understand the revised Bloom taxonomy and the learning outcomes, how learning outcomes look like. So these are the objective of second session. And at the last, if time permits, then we can also frame a nice lesson plan as per our own topic. So so many of you might have heard about the learning cycle. So learning is a cyclic process. It is not a small process, and it is not a very easy and an end process. So it's a cyclic process which we needs to be followed. It's starting with the reflection, that we have to reflect that what we have learned, what our students know before the start of any new lesson. So that reflection needs to be there, and then intended learning outcomes, which is the also known as ILOs. ILOs are very important. ILOs means what a student should understand or be able to do by the end of that particular lesson. So what a student should understand, what a student should know and be able to do by the end of that particular lesson is the intended learning outcomes. So we need to focus on this particular area, which is intended learning outcomes. So suppose if I'm teaching geography, maybe resources, so at the end of the chapter, what I'm expecting, what student is expecting that he or she should be able to differentiate between the natural resources and the human-made resource, or the human-made resources. That is the intended learning outcome. So it is very important that whenever we are entering the class, we should have intended learning outcomes for that particular classes. And then what is there in learning outcomes? It is that what student should know by the end of the lesson, and how he is going to apply his understanding, his lesson at the end of at any real life scenario. That is the intended learning outcomes. And we have to keep this in our mind, that we also have to keep the CWSN student in our mind, and because I know many of the teachers, they are not specially trained for the CWSN. So in that case, we might need to give some extra time so that they feel more included rather than excluded. So keeping that in our mind, we have to. There might be some changes. There might be needed of some changes in lesson plans. So it is very important that we must focus on the learning outcomes. So in first is reflection, and then define intended learning outcomes. Third is instructional practice in classroom. That is that usually all the teachers do in the regular classroom scenario. That there are certain instruction that needs to be followed in the classroom during the teaching process. So that is all about the process. And the last one is major learning outcomes, where we do assessment like formative assessment, summative assessment. But I personally feel that formative assessment is a need of our, and formative assessment is not only for the student, it is also for the teachers to check whether our teaching process is going well or not. I know all the teachers are very well experienced, but when it comes to teaching, sometimes we might feel that, oh, I need to make some changes in this particular area. I need to, because we have to keep all the 35 students in our mind. So keeping that in our mind and check, especially for measuring learning outcomes, formative assessment is a need. We don't have to go with pen and paper all the time. You can have a quiz, you can have some oral test as well. You can have assessment in various forms. So it doesn't mean that every time we have to go with pen and paper. So it is very important that assessment of learning is quite necessary. We do summative assessment at the end of the year, but that is quite maybe at the later stage. And at that point of time, we came to know that okay, students, they are lacking in this area, and we might be lacking this area, but that is quite late. So what I believe is that formative assessment needs to be done constantly, and we as a teacher, we can learn many things from formative assessment. Because for example, let's take an example of plant. So if you want to grow a plant, that particular small sapling needs a lot of care, sunlight, and then water on time, everything. These are the process, these are the journey, right? Like watering the plant on time, proper sunlight, and then if these things are like not on time, and if these things are lacking, then that plant will not grow, that particular small sapling will not grow, not turn up into the big plant. So the whole process is like a formative assessment, and that plant, which is the result, is a summative form of assessment. So it is very important that we all want to have a nice and a beautiful and a big plant, but we must focus on how was the journey of that particular plant. So for the journey process, it is very important to have a formative assessment. So I encourage all the educators to kindly have formative assessment in various forms, and that is an assessment of ourselves as a teacher as well as the assessment of the students. So measuring learning outcomes, it all talks about the assessment thing. So this is the learning cycle which we have to keep in our mind. So objective, it's a teacher-centric, which I've already mentioned, and we have a particular goal, we have particular expectation as a teacher in that particular class. That is all about objective. And objective also focus on content, that okay, we have this much of content, we have to finish the syllabus. So we are always after the syllabus, right? So it is mainly about finishing syllabus on time, and then rather than checking whether that particular student is able to understand or able to create something about something with that with my teaching or not, we hardly check it. So learning objective, you can draw the conclusion with this slides. And objective can be numerous, specific, detailed as well. So it depends on class to class, it depends on individual to individual. There's no any particular restriction that objective needs to be specific, nothing like that. And assessing and reporting on each and every objective for every student may be possible in this. So whenever, like when we go to the class with some plan, with objective, and at the end of the class we just ask, student, will you be able to understand this or not? We just randomly choose 1 or 2 students, right? And then with that particular, with 3 or 4 students, we came to the conclusion that okay, I'm done with my today's lesson. That's my objective, that at least they have understood what I have taught. So that is the satisfaction for ourselves. But in reality, we have to check that whether that student is able to apply or create something about with that teaching process or not. That is the thing which we need to check in the learning outcomes. So example, student will understand the fundamental principle, generalization and theory in the solid state physics, but in application part we have to focus more, right? So this is just an example, and here comes the learning outcomes, which is the main need of the hour. So outcomes are specific, measurable statement. It should be smart enough, like specific, measurable, and then achievable, like that. So the smart thing needs to be there in the learning outcomes. And it is learner-centered, it is a student-centric process, and we focus mainly on student in this particular, in the learning outcomes. and rather than what what teacher teaches. So we have to focus on what teacher is teaching, but apart from that, we have to focus mainly on what student is able to create at the end of this particular chapter. So learning outcomes are statement that describe or list measurable essential master content, knowledge and skills. So I've already mentioned about the competency base, right? So here they focus on knowledge, skills and attitude. So learning outcomes is the learning outcomes means I can say synonymously related to the competency based thing. So whenever since from last 4-5 years we focus mainly on competency based. So competency is just about knowledge, skills and attitude. If we have if we have a nice and precise learning outcomes, intended learning outcomes, then that particular lesson, that particular topic have the competency level of that particular topic is quite high. Okay, and we talk a lot about the sustainable goals, SDGs. So SDG 4, which talks mainly about the quality education, equity. So here, and then this is, we have to achieve all these SDGs goal, SDG 17 by 2030. That's why we have a lot of lot of schemes, lot of policies, education policies, some agriculture policies, some various policy at national level on a regular basis, so that we can achieve these particular goals by 2030. So goal number 4, they talks about quality education, and in detail it mainly talks about ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all. So which is why especially the government sector, they have the free enrollment for all the students. They have various schemes like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, and there are various opportunities in the government sector as well, where the students, they are getting free and compulsory education with Right to Education 2009, and there are various policies. And now these days we have been witnessing that we have to achieve these particular goals by 2030. So keeping that in our mind, we have a lot of changes even in the education sector. Like recently there are CT and AI. It's quite new to us, but then we have to go with these changes as per the need, as per the goal. So the SDG goal number 4, it mainly talks about the quality, inclusive, equity, education. This is a quote by Rabindranath Tagore. So we can just go through this. A teacher can never truly teach unless he is still learning himself. A lamp can never light another lamp unless it continues to burn its own flame. The teacher who has come to the end of his subject, who has no living traffic with his knowledge, but merely repeats his lesson to his student, can only load their minds, he cannot quicken them. So this is a quote by Rabindranath Tagore, and we as a teacher, it is very important that we call ourselves as a dispel of darkness. So we have to be a constant learner, frequent learner, and learning should be a part of us. So now moving towards the understanding Zoom taxonomy of educational learning outcomes. So in between, I just want to show you one video which is all about the education system, how it looks like, and then now we are shifting to the new education system in this century. So I'll just
Your son is a failure. He's barely passing my class, and with grades like this, I'm just not sure what kind of future he's gonna have. What do you have to say for your son? You're supposed to graduate this year.
Listen to Mr. Johnson. What kind of future do you think you're going to have?
With all due respect, don't call me a failure. Failure is an event, not a person in fact. And you talk about the future, Mr. Johnson, but you're not preparing us for that.
Excuse me?
Just listen to what I'm saying.
It should be good.
Would you agree that in the future, most careers will become automated?
Yeah, so?
So the people who succeed will have to be curious, innovative, with resilience to adapt to new changes.
What's your point?
My point is, the focus in this school is not on that. It is on regurgitating information and test taking, and that's just real. But in today's world, creativity is the most important leadership skill.
Oh, that's how you feel.
You don't have to believe me, but maybe you will believe the 1,500 executives who recently said creativity is the most important leadership skill. See, pretty soon, no one will be hired because of what they know. Because who cares what you know or if you've memorized the fact? We've got Google and Siri for that. In the future, people will be hired because of what they can do with their knowledge. Can they creatively solve real-world problems, not just follow instructions or directions and bubbly and multiple choice questions? So, Mom, that's why I'm stressed, because these robotic tasks we learn in school should stop. Because no one can do a robot's job better than a robot. Billionaire founder of Alibaba, Jack Ma, said that we should not compete with artificial intelligence, but instead focus on developing unique human intelligence. Mr. Johnson, drills are for teeth, not the human mind. So these repetitive knowledge-based tasks we must leave behind. Or in the future, you're gonna find a lot of people graduating out of your class right into the unemployment line. See, many top companies today don't look at grades. Mom, that old way is expiring. Google has been quoted as saying GPAs are worthless criteria for hiring. Founder of Tesla, Elon Musk, agrees. So I say this with unease and sorrow. If you continue to teach today as you taught yesterday, then you rob us students of tomorrow. Mr. Johnson, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Sometimes sitting in your class is tough. I'm constantly thinking, if I don't look up at the clock, maybe it'll speed up. So I listen to you, do my work, and pay attention, feeling like an hour had to have gone by, but it was only 3 minutes. So if you wonder why we're blowing in class, look, you want to get a kid to hate reading? Give them this, a school textbook. And some people think it's our fault, and that hurts me. They say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And to that I say no. Firstly, you can put salt in that horse's hay and make him thirsty. And if you bring joy in your classroom, you can make any bad student nerdy. As he or she discovers the beauty of truly learning. Mr. Johnson, I mean no disrespect. You have the most important job on this planet. You build, create, and save lives. But if you really care about my future, like you say, then you have to fully commit and ask yourself honestly, how do I prepare a child for a future that doesn't yet exist? Here's a hint. The answer is not found in this. It's using this and this. See, in the future, we will need more passion and compassion. People with inspired hearts and wisdom to uplift this planet. And Mom, I love you, but can I be real?
Go ahead.
You want to know one of the biggest factors for childhood success? It's not IQ. It's family meals. And we haven't had one of those in a while. See, I know sometimes you don't feel proud, because I may not be a straight A student, but I'm not stupid. These tests may be 70% of my grade, but they're 0% of my future. But don't worry, I'll pass this class and get through this. But I need you to give me the space I need to be me and live true. Because the best feeling in the world is that your own parents get you. There's a passage in a book called The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. And if you don't mind, I'd love to share it with you.
Go ahead.
See, he says, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, they do not belong to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow. So, Mom, I'd appreciate it if you give me the love that I need to pursue my dreams. See, if we are to succeed, all three of us need behavior change on all fronts. We talk about the future, but the future is now, and it is created now by all of us.
never heard you speak like that before.
Yeah, I didn't know.
But I'm gonna reach out to administration and try to change some things. You have my word.
Okay. Uh, I just want any one of you to share what you have understood from this particular video, and that's what I want to listen. Any teacher, any educators want to share your understanding and your takeaway from this particular video? Okay, ma'am.
I want to say that from this कि हमारे जो CBSE का NEP भी जो अभी introduced हुआ है, they are more focusing on skill. So we have to educate our students not only the knowledge, हमें उन्हें skillful बनाना है, so that they can survive in the future, in the society. क्योंकि आगे जाके सिर्फ knowledge उस सोसाइटी में सर्वाइव करने के लिए एनफ नहीं होगा जब तक उस बच्चे के अंदर एक स्किल नहीं होगा. When you have the skill, you can survive in the society. So without skill, education is nothing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your sharing. So here, even the system is changing, and we as an educator, we have to change ourselves. Our pedagogy needs to be changed, and we have to adapt ourselves with the change, right? So thank you, and we have to prepare our student for the better future, not theoretically, but as ma'am rightly said about through skills. So skills needs to be focused more with the NEP or 2020 NCF, FSN, SE also talks about this particular skills, knowledge, and attitude. So thank you. It's not a part of this session, but then I thought like it's quite relatable, so I just shown it. Thank you. Okay, so how learning outcome look like, how lesson plans as per the revised taxonomy look like. It should be, the learning outcome needs to be started with student will be able to create something, or student will be able to differentiate between right or wrong. So we have to use the action verbs over there rather than student will be able to understand like that. So I've kept over there at the back side. So or else you can just refer to the revised Bloom taxonomy or action verbs. You can just find it out. So it's quite important, crucial, and you can use that those verbs in your daily lesson plan as well. So it needs to be start with student will be able to with proper appropriate verb, action verb, and then the subject, verb, and then particular object. So the same rules which we follow in the English grammar as well. So the next one is this is the cycle. So this cycle can be used during your lesson plan as well as while making your question, while preparing your question paper. So learning outcomes contains of three components. So first one is performance. So in performance, it describes about what learner, what student will know or able to do in a specific measurable time. Since we mentioned about the smart measurable thing, so here they talk about the specific and measurable terms. So performance needs to be specific and measurable. So that is the performance. That is again a component of learning outcomes. And then condition. So in condition that they describe about the circumstances under which the student will perform, and condition can also include tools, situations, settings or restrictions that will direct the activity. So it can be in any condition, maybe in the severe condition, maybe in a very gentle condition that particular student will be able to work on that situations. So in the third one, the criteria that describe about the required level of quality of performance, and also it can be described in terms of accuracy, maximum, minimum, productivity level, time, and degree of excellence. So here, when we talk about learning outcome, it is specific, measurable, and then time bound. So it have all these smart measurable over there. So these are the components of learning outcomes. So characteristic, it talks about the smart thing. Yes. So it needs to be specific and it needs to be measurable, which can be measured at the end of that particular topic or the session, and then attainable by for the participation within the scheduled time, and then relevant as per the needs of the students. So even the topic, whatever topic we are catering, we are having the topic. So we need to keep that in our mind that we are catering to which age group. So it needs to be relevant as per the age group as well, and then time frame. Since many of us, when it comes to time management, we lag over there. So it needs to be time frame as well. By the end of this particular session, we are able to achieve this thing. Okay, so it needs to be time frame as well. So these are the characteristic of good learning outcomes. So learning outcome, and it is not mandatory to have all the characteristics, but we as an educator, we have to try our best to have the maximum characteristic in our outcomes. So when it comes to Bloom taxonomy, it mainly talks about three domains: cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. So cognitive domain, it includes the major part. So cognitive, which is knowledge based, which is mainly about our brain. So where our brain part is used majorly. So cognitive domain, it includes those objectives that deals with the recall and recognition of learned material and the development of intellectual abilities and skills. The larger proportion of the educational, instructional, teaching, learning objective falls into this domain. Even when we talk about the Bloom taxonomy, there are various classification of taxonomy, and then most of the taxonomy or the classification, they falls under the cognitive domain. So cognitive domain plays a major role in when it comes to the lesson plan, when it comes to the learning outcomes. So affective domains, it is mainly about the emotion based, the values that we inculcate. So affective domain also plays a very important role in all the lesson plans. So affective is mainly about values. What are the values? What are the emotions that the students are going to understand from this particular chapter? It falls under the affective domain. So when it comes to psychomotor, it is mainly about the action based, where we are concerned more about the skills like physical skills, fine motor skills. These are the skills which normally develop in the psychomotor domain. So when we plan a lesson plan for a particular topic, so it is very important to have all these domain. But out of this domain, the cognitive domain is the major part where all the classification of revised Bloom lies on. So this is the one. It's in the chart form of all three domains. So cognitive domain, which is mainly about the brain mental activity. Affective is mainly about the emotion based or the value based, and the psychomotor, it mainly talks about the physical activity or the fine motor skills. So I've mentioned you about the Bloom taxonomy as well as the revised Bloom taxonomy. So Bloom taxonomy was quite popular in 1990s. So which was started initiated by Dr. Benjamin Bloom, and then with this thing, he got this particular taxonomy got the name called Bloom taxonomy, and in 2001 it was revised to it was revised and known as revised Bloom taxonomy, and that was revised by Lauren Anderson and David. They both are the student of Dr. Benjamin. So they have identified that it needs to be revised, and in 2001 the revised Bloom taxonomy took place. So now here these days we are focusing more on the revised Bloom taxonomy. Initially it was now we are focusing more on the action verbs. So, and there's also change in the sequence. In the original Bloom one, they focus more on the starting one is, it started with the knowledge. We just have to start with the knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. But now with the revised one, we have to focus on revised. We have to start with the remembrance part first, focus by understanding, applying, analyzing. Analyzing means which one to be taken, which one to be implemented, and which needs to be discarded. Evaluation, which we do it, and the creation means something to be created from the lesson that this particular student have learned. So it should be started from the remembrance part, where the student, they have to recall what they are going to study, whether they have some idea or not, and then there's no any student who are starting from zero learning or no learning. Every student has some idea. So we have to start with the remembrance part in each and every lesson, so that we can be able to connect with the main topic very easily, and as well as for the teachers, for the educators, it becomes very easy for us to start from which area, and we can also understand the pace of the teaching as well through remembering process. And then the understanding process is how we are making our student to understand that particular topic. It falls under the understanding category or the characteristic. And in applying part, whatever they have learned, whether they are able to apply it into the writing answer or maybe into the real life scenario. And in analyzing part, we as a teacher, we have been teaching a lot, and then it is now the student choice which needs to be put in their answer sheet, which needs to be taken by them, which needs to be discarded. So in analyzing part, they have to choose which needs to be taken by them, and there are a few part which is not that much important. So here, in the analyzing part, I believe that student also develop the skills of decision making in the analyzing part. And evaluation is normally done by us, but as well as the students, we can do peer evaluation as well in this particular thing. And the creation is something create out of that particular topic. So there's an example of, I usually give this example, it is quite relatable and easy for us, which we normally use in our day-to-day life, especially in the summer season. So we have a lemon, right? And then lemon, we teach students that this is lemon, look, it is sour in taste, it looks like this, it is small in size, it's smaller than orange, and it looks lime, like the color and everything. So we try to show them, and how does it taste. We just show them that particular lemon, and then so that is the remembrance part, where we can remembrance and understanding, where we can take that particular lemon and show them, okay, this is lemon, this is sour, and the size is like this, and this grow in this particular area. So and then when it comes to applying part, here the student, they just cut the lemon into two pieces, and then they just apply it. How they apply it, since we have mentioned that lemon bush kurmo, and then they just cut it down and they taste it. So they are applying it, okay, it is sour in taste. So here they are applying whatever they have learned. Like teachers have taught that lemon bo nimbu wo shkurmo yon, then kote shkurmo wo kazu juice, they just cut it and apply it into the real life scenario, and then they analyze and then in the analyzing part, what they are doing is that they just discard the skin, the peel, it's not no use, and even the seeds, they just discard it, analyze juice, and then whatever they need is just the lemon juice. They just squeeze it down and then collect the juice. That is the analyzing part. And then evaluation, they just evaluation and creation, they just try to make a laminate from that particular lemon. So this laminate process, making a laminate process, it includes all the from remembrance part till the creation part, included everything. So we as a teacher, we have to teach students in such a manner that that they can able to apply that particular teaching particular knowledge into the real life scenario. Now the student will never forget that how lemon looks like and how does it taste, because they have experienced it, they have created, they have analyzed it, and they have evaluated it. So that is just a one form of example which can be used in your regular classroom scenario. So this now the revised Bloom taxonomy, it looked like this. It starts with the remembrance part. It starts with base and it goes after. It's in a pyramid structure. It starts with the base, which is remembering, and then understand, applying, in analyze, evaluation, and then till the creation part. So now as an educator of this contemporary century, we have to focus more on we have to focus solely on the revised Bloom taxonomy. And recently with CT and AI, like computational thinking, it also talks about this kind of process, right? How it should be sequential, and like these are all interrelated. So if any one of you are planning to have a presentation on CT and AI, so you can just refer to a few of these slides as well, so that you can get a proper idea how one particular topic needs to go ahead in a sequential manner. So CT also talks about this. Okay. Learning outcomes based on competency. So since we have been talking a lot about competencies, so how learning outcome looks like and how it is based on competency. So the main objective is communicate effectively the importance of incorporating 21st century competencies. So there are a lot of there's a long list of 21st century competencies which you can go through in the teaching learning methodology. Incorporate the 21st century competency in their lesson plan. So I hope I have included few of them. So these are the few examples of 21st century competencies. Since many educators have been mentioning about the at the initial phase, I have given you one question, that how you are going to cater to that particular challenges that you are faced during the lesson, right, during the class. So many teachers have been talking about creativity, innovation, and then citizenship, character, critical thinking, problem solving. So these are the 21st century competencies which can be included in our lesson plan. And there are still more, but then I've just kept few of them. So competency-based learning outcomes, in a general statement, it describes mainly about knowledge, skills, behavior of a student or attitude of a student at the end of the particular course. So that is the competency. So competency is not any it's not a different subject, it's a part of it, but then it mainly talk about these three particular elements. And competency can all commonly defined as the applied skills and knowledge that we have learned during the teaching learning process, and how we enable or we make students to successfully perform in a particular professional scenario. It mainly talks about that thing. So even as a teacher, we came from an education system where we had gone through a rote learning, right? But then when it comes to our actual real life scenario, those rote learning is of no use. So whatever we as a teacher, what is in use is that our skills, right? Our skills are the use of our, as well as the knowledge, and then how we are applying that particular knowledge with our skills, and then that particular thing, and then that particular lesson, it's quite impactful once we use our knowledge, once we use our skills, once we use our behavior and attitude, and overall, if we blend all the three together, then I believe that our outcomes is learning outcome is quite good enough. So it is very important that even in the we have to create or we have to make student such a great one, so that whatever skills they have in their life, they can implement in the real life scenario. They can implement that particular skill in the professional setup. Is what competency talks about. So if time permits, then maybe we can just have a reflect, because since we have been talking a lot about assessment of learning, which is assessment of learning, assessment for learning, but the for learning, I think it's not possible here right now. But then we can do a bit of assessment of learning, which is a summative assessment, because I also want to know that whether I've been talking a lot, and then I just want to check whether my my talk is impactful or not. So I just want to check, and we can just have a reflection. Whatever we have understood so far, we can just share one or two in one or two lines. So I encourage, I urge educators, those who want to share your learning so far, so that we can go ahead. It's like almost the end of this thing session. So after this, we have a lesson plan framework which needs to be developed by you. But before that, I just want all of us to kindly participate and reflect whatever you have learned so far. And if there's any queries to be asked, I'll try to answer. If not, then we can just have a sharings so far. Any educators who wants to share something? If there's no sharing, if there's no reflection, that means either you have understood everything or you have understood nothing. So which one I assume? Because we as a teacher, we also expect answer from students, right? So I just want at least one or two sharings so far. If there's any question, I'm not perfect, but then I'm also on the learning stage, so I'll just try to answer as much as I can.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Ma'am Mingyu Ramole. Your session was very helpful. It was like a revision. We are already implementing this Bloom's taxonomy in our lesson plans, and it's like a revision. It made our knowledge more strengthened. It strengthened our knowledge. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And I hope that many schools, they are using this format, revised Bloom taxonomy. So just yes, since ma'am you mentioned about the revision, so I hope even it's a revision for me. It's just my third session, so I'm still on a learning stage. So even it's a co-learning space. So thank you so much, ma'am. Any more sharing? Ma'am, okay.
A very good afternoon to all. So I just want to share three things that I have learned in today's session. That is, first one is the learning cycle that we have, that Namli has literally spoke about very well. And next is the, yes, SMART, SMART. And the last one is competency, that is 21st century competencies examples. These three things is the main, I would say, is the main thing that I have learned from this session. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your sharing. And if anything needs to be added, or if you have, I know that many of you are well experienced, you have been following this pattern from a very long time. So if any more to be added, then we are very welcome to hear that as well. We are almost at the end of the session, so no sharings, and then I'll move to the next one, which is framing of learning outcomes. So in framing of learning outcomes, you have to frame a lesson plan, keeping taxonomy in your mind, classification in your mind, starting with the remembering part till the creation part. You have to follow this process, and you can also focus. On the three domain, which is cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domain. So mainly the cognitive, all the classification, it lies within the cognitive domain, but still you can just work on psychomotor as well as affective, because many teachers, they are focusing all these all three domains as well as the six classification. So whenever you develop any kind of plans, so better you, it is very good. I encourage everyone to kindly focus on all these domains, domain as well as the classifications. And for your reference, I've put on the verb cycle at the back side. So you can just click picture, and whenever you have, we teacher have, we have to frame question paper as well. So you can refer to those particular verb cycle, and you can just take those words and frame a very good question paper. So once you include those action verbs, the level of the question paper, the competency level is quite high, will be increased. So I encourage all of you to kindly use those verb cycle, learning outcomes to be defined at the on the top, that and it should be started with student will be able to create, student will be able to reflect, student will be able to differentiate. There are a lot of cycle like verbs, action verbs over there, so which you can use in your daily lesson plans. Yes, and again a time to share. If anyone wants to share anything, then you can share. If not, then we are almost at the end of this topic. I've kept it short, though it is of 6 hours. So I've tried to reduce it and make it shorter, since you have a long hours. You already had a regular school days and then back-to-back trainings. So I don't want to take much of your time. I just want to take it short, crisp, and then I hope that you have got some information from this workshop, from this training, and we look forward to have more such session in near future. And if there's anything to be shared, we are here to listen each other's opinion. Since there's a rule of this particular training that we have to respect each other's opinion, right? That was shared at the very beginning. So I request everybody to kindly share your opinion, and we respect from the depth of our heart about others' opinion. So it shouldn't be a judgmental, it shouldn't be a criticism. So it's just since in C learning we talk a lot about positive talk, so it's a kind of those classes. So if anybody wants to share, then we can have a sharing on this topic. If not, then I'm almost done. Okay, so here comes to an end of my presentation. I hope you all have got some idea. Not all the slides. There's like 32 slides, but then I know that at least you can understand the 2 or 3 slides, maximum 5 slides. That is more than enough. But then I wholeheartedly encourage all the educators to kindly use this kind of plan for more and for better classroom practices, for better lesson plans, and for more objective and goal-oriented classes is what I encourage. And we look forward to have such more session in your institution as well. So thank you so much for being patiently listening to me. Though I'm not that much prepared, and I hope I'm able to give justice to this session. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Before conclusion, I just share a few of the copies of revised Bloom taxonomy cycle. You can just have a look, or maybe take a picture as well. teachers, I've been discussing that students, they are these days the students, they are quite they are far intelligent, they are far way forward than us in when it comes to AI, when it comes to understanding, when it comes to everything. So we as an educator, we have to equip ourselves, we have to polish ourselves well, and then secondly, we in our school we have changed few I can say like few things like we hardly use initially we use a lot, but now this is we hardly use rules regulation because it seems like for them it is like a compulsion, right? So what we have used is like agreement. So you do your agreement, you develop your agreement, and then you have to work on that. So like we have smart classes. We otherwise smart classes it costs around 1 like 20. So like the maintenance cost is quite high, and then we have one teacher have to be there all the time to check. Now with this agreement thing, we are not supposed to check all the time. Students, they are so well maintained that they have jot down the agreement, and all the entire classes are agreed on those points, and they have put out sign. One copy is with me, one copy is pasted in the classroom. So these are the things which also talks about the skills. Though it's out of this topic, but then it mainly talk about the skills that we have been talking, like decision making skills. Because most of the time, we as a teacher, we as a parent, we take decision for themselves rather than taking decision by themselves. So it's very important that now we have to switch to other form that when we talk about skills needs to be inculcated, but then they have to learn by themselves rather than teaching from us all the time. We have to be like a guide or as a facilitator rather than a teacher tag. So that's what I believe, and that is working here as well. That's why I'm sharing here. And apart from that, we also have this homework. That word itself is like quite boring, and we have been using since ages. So now we use home play. We get to know through learning that home plays and play. So switching this kind of word also impacts a lot. So we as a teacher, we have to be smart enough. We have to use some tricks and techniques to make classroom quite lively. Overall, our main motto is that students ka homework on time hona chahiye. And then for that we make this kind of strategy. Home play means though it's the same thing, the same homework which we are giving, but then we just change the tag or the name. So home play means everybody is like quite happy to do that, though it's same homework. But then with the change in name, it affects a lot. So it's I encourage, these are the kind of practices that we are practicing, and which you can also practice in your respective schools, and that is helping us a lot. Otherwise, we have been after them when it comes to rules, when it comes to these things. So we are not focusing on rules. We have okay, if you want to do this, then just write an agreement. Do a classroom agreement. So and that classroom agreement needs to be done by the entire classes rather than having one single or maybe a monitor. So this kind of thing make them more responsible towards the schools, towards the property, towards themselves. So these are the kind of things, all the skills that we are inculcating. And I know that many of the schools, they are doing far better than these kind of things, but it's just a part of it. I thought like since we have time, then I just thought of sharing it. So thank you so much. And if anyone wants to share, then we are most welcome. If not, then we are concluded.
Hello. Tujuh membre, tena nanya botene diri, ngatai learning outcome nang pedagogy tene session bothon tei, tene jud bukannya, tene professional development committee, tene tiba tene gile jual bui, tene diri kasih tegera tene, all of things for success lagi, gile.
Tapujin shakir kisapong janji mutu tuji kuyo sirgina bota fuji shakir so tela bucha san nindi ni do Padma Karpe suska na tini Lopan Makarpe, Tenin Sukchung, Yana Zabjong Sukchung in Chona, Teni Budik, Juspanangjin, Teni Zabjong Pukirena, learning outcome, and learning outcome, Teni Pedaogy Scholar, Teni Lopan Makarpe, Lotte Lochi, Madame Nigu among Sukchung, Najua Pupanangjin, Teni Isam to Sot. Rinjan booking is something here in a man busy, Lieutenant exam, you took the busy now, in the social, you are pronouncing Madame Judges now said in that social nationality, PS, is a public, the is guilty from Mambona, and the Natal TC, from Mambona, Gergan Kazan Samatica, Zabjon. Precious spot in Dupan Makarpe, Lotte, Lochi suspect in Lotte in Suction, in Suction in Shona, Zabjon Suction, Chetan, in Katichi. The Natal in Minamne, Demba, Tendin, Nata, Teligana, Zabjon Potena, Teni, Mala, and San Panita, Tone at the Lojongo. Nata lesson helps na pala tiga na hojong thot gyo ni thua thot gyo mindu tiga na nata lesson helps na pala tel he appa ko tiga kan gos na mindu te gos ka tiga na gazua pinchen of skola tini medam sajin sampota nyambo dinna za jong tini lokta changme na beshet na kortu chasi tini rewa tang small lam tang ninga chukshon chona tini request tang tini Jua Purchasing, Pina Samadina Fishes for the Chak support and the Zabjombo, Demba, Gagan Mamba, Presidu, the Zabjomba, to sort for Kai, Jusum Chachasi, Pinata to sort my Gala song, the Piatamala, Chetan, Tashi de Regine, Samala Julish. Tini, EJJ Tini, Salakep, Salakep, Kenaya, Tini, online with the purchasing. Yang email tang phone number tang chakang kachang sama pun dia tu ada sudah nang ini online tu jadi
Ini ngai zupo certificate ko online cuci se reason bo change junai le cikpa ngai ming teachers ni ming bo time ka malips tingi spa yang tapi changes sang shtu tingi spa ngai dalungai silver jubilee ni ale tingi ngai chamtu nyan na chiji event jona zero waste train substance ale tipya ta avena plastic chita me kya pa as such but still nata thore shik upload jo goshes na chu na digitally so ngai digital form bena tyo chik substance ale tyo in tingi ja thore nija ranga principle ngone la ngai pura ju kala ja chese tene khomone nija sala ja chese mangale o tyo reason bo chik chigale thank you
Terima kasih. Timur teringnya, ngajar tene, Duban Bakar tene professional development committee of tene, diri resource person junang lokci junang mem migran mulai tene, ajanda disini terima kasih dia tene ngaji, terima kasih dia tene ngaji, saya tu sosok tene sosok tene gen datang ngaji wa puli tene gen le tene mem dia terima kasih junji tene kata bulda di putih lagi, terima kasih ngaji. Tene ngaji jaga ngaji wa tene ka group photo askelah tene testing tene ngaji solid tali tisat diyo tene ngala tene sama group photo askelah ngaji jual beli jaga lagi.
프레임은 하면 돼. 프레임은 하면 돼. Paling sekarang. Lama. Ready.
Given Venezuela